You know, most people never get started on their dreams. Not because they don't want it, but because something invisible is holding them back. Let's talk about what that is and how you can break free. Join me today as we venture around, do a couple things. Next up on our list is actually meeting a friend for lunch, and we've got some errands to run, but let's talk about what might be holding you back, what this invisible thing is. Let's break free from whatever that is. You know, most people never get started on their dreams. It's not because they don't want it, but it's because there's something invisible holding them back. Let's talk about what it is that's holding you back, and let's see if we can break free from that. All right, I just had a great lunch with a friend, and let's get back to our question of, sorry, I had to get out in that traffic for a second. Let's get back to our question. Today, I'm gonna share with you what's holding you back and how to break through so that your dreams aren't like these empty storefronts we're walking past. Dreams that never came to be. Dreams that are just empty, worthless, and have gone nowhere, to dreams of success. Turn your dreams into a reality. You know, sometimes what happens is we have these dreams and they go nowhere. We do nothing with them. And then we see somebody who succeeded with their dream, somebody who turned their empty storefront into something useful, something successful. And sometimes when that happens, we get angry. We get upset. Is it because they were successful and we weren't? Or is it because we realized we never did anything, but they did? They succeeded when we never tried. Let's talk about this. What is it that's holding you back? I talk to a lot of people. And I try and work with a lot of people to help them succeed in their dreams. And more often than not, the story is the same. Your story, I can pretty much guarantee you, is the same story as their story. What's holding them back is the same thing holding you back. Let's chat about that for a minute. What's holding you back isn't that you're lazy. Nope. And it's not that you're really scared of starting. Nope. Really, what happens most of the time is, when we really dig deep, is imposter syndrome. That's the term for it. The imposter syndrome is, what if I'm not good enough, or what will people think of me if I do start? And we're worried about other people's thoughts. You see this restaurant over here where the guy actually started on his dream. He had the same imposter syndrome. He worried, what if I'm not good enough? What if I don't make good enough barbecue? That's what he does, is he makes barbecue. What if I'm not a good enough chef? Well, you know what? He tried anyway. He could have let imposter syndrome completely stop him. He could have accepted the fact that he would never be the best, and some people might not like him, or some people might even tell him he's not the best chef in the world. He could have let that just end the whole dream. And that's what we all tend to do. We let that end the dream. You know, there's this family that I know. They love photography, love it, have thousands and thousands and thousands of images. And they could sell these images, and they actually think this is a great opportunity. They already love photography. They already have tons of images. All they have to do is upload them to one of these sites that license out photography, and they get a fee for every photograph that's bought. What a fantastic option. Really, at this point, they've done the majority of the work. They even decided which photo site they're going to use to upload images to. But you know what they don't do? Upload images. You know, you may chuckle at that, kind of like I just did, but the fact is, they have imposter syndrome. What if their images aren't good enough? That's really what's holding them back. And every time I talk to them about it, the excuse that they give me changes. One time it was our computer's not good enough. One time it was we have so many images, we have to pick out the best 3 images so that we get approved for this site. And well, we just haven't had time to go through all the images yet. One time it was we don't have the software we need to finalize the images. I mean, it's just an excuse. It's a stopping point that they keep creating these false stopping points because they're worried if they upload the images, what will people think? What will people say? Are they not real photographers? You know what? Right now they're not, because they're not doing anything other than just enjoying taking pictures. But doesn't that make them a photographer? And with any career path at all. I mean, aren't there the greats and then the people who aren't nearly as good? Are they all real in the industry that they choose? They are. So in this case, they're photographers whether they admit it or not. And whether people say they're photographers or not, whether people like their images or not, doesn't matter. If they can upload the images and people want to buy the images, why not? You see, what they're actually doing is they're living in fear. They're living in imposter syndrome that they truly might not be good enough. And they're letting their personal feelings get in the way. They actually have a product of value, a product that people really want, and they're not allowing people to have this product for fear that maybe there's some people who won't like their product. We all tend to do that sometimes. So how do we get over this? How do we move forward? I've got to pick up a couple packages and we'll talk more about how to get over that in a moment. All right, while we're at the store, real quick. So I'm gonna tell you a story about myself because I had the same imposter syndrome, the same inability to start. And I wanna share that with you, and then we're going to talk through how to get going. Let's go in and pick up our stuff. You know, so one of the ways that I make money is I've written books. And let me tell you, being an author is not a way to make a lot of money. So don't think that's like a magical approach to making a lot of money. But one of the things that I've done is I've written a few books. And when I wrote my first book, I had the same problem. I wrote the book, I actually had it written. And then I was worried, what would people think? What if my writing is not good enough? What if people I knew found out I had written a book and thought how terrible I was at what I wrote about? So I was worried. So I had this book and I was afraid to find a publisher. I was afraid to publish the book. I was afraid to put it out there because I had imposter syndrome. What if I wasn't good enough to be writing a book? I mean, I had the same problem. What did I eventually do? Got the book published. 14 years later, that book is still producing income for me. 14 years ago, that first book was published. So after I published that book, did everybody tell me how stupid I was? That I wasn't good enough? That I didn't know the information well enough to be an author? No, I mean, no, it didn't happen. What actually ended up happening was quite the opposite. I got a lot of notes of encouragement and a lot of people who said how helpful that book was for them. Intriguing. Then I did get a few comments of the book is too small, it's too basic. It's a basic book. It was intended to be a basic introduction book, and that's even what the description says. But so no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody out there, we call them haters. I don't know that they hate, but there's going to be negative people. Yep, I found a couple of those as well. But overall, the overwhelming majority were thankful that I made this book and it helped them. You've got the same thing. You've got something useful, whether it's your photography, whether it's writing a book, whatever it is that you can do, you've got something useful to share and something you can make money with at the same time. So how do we get over this fear of start? I mean, the answer is a little cliche, and you know, you've heard it before, is we just have to start. We just have to start. And really that's truthful, like my book. So I had written it, and it was sitting there as a file. I just had to take the final step and get it produced. Sometimes what we do at this point is we research. Well, we're researching this, we're watching YouTube videos on that, we're reading books on this, we're talking to people, but it's all an illusion. All of those are really stopping points. They're things keeping us from doing anything intentionally. Now, the knowledge isn't bad, the research isn't necessarily bad, but the reality is we're making sure we can't move forward. And what you need to do is take that step forward with whatever it is. There are literally a million, I know a lot of people say a million, but really there are over a million different side hustles and ventures you can do with the knowledge you have and the skills you have. Sometimes, yes, it's hard to figure out which one. Sometimes we just try and chase too many and really don't do any of them. And most of the time, the problem is we think we're not good enough. We have imposter syndrome. We're afraid of what if it doesn't work. But the reality is you're keeping the world from having the resources you have to offer. So I really encourage you today to take that next step. A real step, not just a busyness step, not just a step that's really an excuse to not get started. I really encourage you to take that step forward. What is it that you've had a dream of doing? What is it that you've been wanting to try? Take that next step to try it, because you know what? It will never happen if you don't try. Like, recording these videos are not always easy, but the trick is I have to push the record button and do it anyway. Maybe that's your dream. You want to start a YouTube channel, but you just haven't recorded. You've researched microphones and cameras and YouTube formats and things like that, but you've never pushed record. Well, if your dream is to start a YouTube channel, I encourage you today, push that record button and talk to your camera, upload the video. It doesn't matter if it's good, just do it, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And whatever information you share is information that can help somebody, but it will help nobody if you never start. So start that side hustle, start that dream, start doing what you love today. And eventually, like me, you could end up in the spot where you don't really have a job anymore. You just are doing things you love doing. So, as I've told you before, I'll share with you some of the things that I do to make money. Today, I talked a little bit about a book I wrote. Since then, I've written a few more books, and that makes a little bit of money. Honestly, being an author is not something very profitable, but it is something that could be worth doing if you like writing or if you have information to share. I've talked to a lot of people who told me they want to be an author, but never got started because what if? There's actually one guy I know who had told me for years that he was writing a book and he was going to write the book and he was going to publish the book. And he'd tell me this every time he saw me. Finally, one day, partially fed up and partially knowing that this was never going to happen if he didn't get like a good swift kick, I told him, you know what? I don't believe you. You will never write that book. You will never publish the book. He's like, yes, I will. And in all honesty, to show me that I was wrong, he finally wrote the book and got it published. And I was proud of him. And I one day said to him as he published it, right after he published it, you know, you never would have written that. You never would have finished it. You never would have published it if I didn't tell you you couldn't. And his response was, oh, I was going to. And that's fine. I mean, it's not my pride. I don't care. But truthfully, just do it. And that's what he needed to do. He just needed to do it. So, like him, you need to just do it. So get going. I know you can do it. I know you have something of value. You are not an imposter. Get going on your dreams today. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing? Well, that's what's happening already. So why not give it a try? It can't be any worse than nothing. I look forward to hearing more about what you're doing and your dreams. Go ahead and write them down in the comments because I love hearing from you what you're doing and what your dreams are, what you're doing to achieve the life that you want to live.